Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is, of course, a No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, what I'm going to be looking into is, again, one of these kind of heavy opinion videos talking about aspects of No Man's Sky that are in the past or in the present, and talking about why they shouldn't be in the game, why they should be, and stuff like that. And today's one is going to be all about Waking Titan. I feel like this is a video which is long overdue, and I guess a lot of people have kind of moved on now and forgot that the ARG even existed. But I want to look into why this ARG needs to stay in the past. So with all of that said and done, please do sit back and relax. Let's get started. Okay, so just in case any of you guys watching now are fairly new No Man's Sky players and haven't been with the game all that long, Waking Titan was an ARG that was closely linked to No Man's Sky for a very, very long time actually. In case you don't know, an ARG is an alternate reality game, which is kind of like merging real life and reality into like this weird sort of hybrid with puzzles and backstory and all of that kind of stuff. Waking Titan was essentially a community effort to solve a load of different puzzles, which unlocked a load of backstory, which gave us hints to updates, and there was just a big kind of aura of trying to work stuff out and working as a team and all of that stuff. And this led us both up to 1.3 with the whole portal aspect. That was when Waking Titan really was in its prime, and of course Waking Titan returned after 1.3 to the build up of Next. That was when Waking Titan got a lot more confusing. It developed a load more. There are, dozens more websites and stuff. So really, it has been a part of the history for a decent amount of time now. Now, I will start off by talking a little bit about why I think Waking Titan was actually a really, really good idea at the time, and some really good things that came out of it. First and foremost, the most obvious one is the fact that the ARG did an excellent job of bringing the community together, and it gave us something to do until the update dropped. You have to remember that Waking Titan first came about in between Pathfinder and Atlas Rises, and that for us was quite a long time, considering before this all updates had dropped in the space of a few months. So Hello Games essentially gave us the ARG as a means with coping with, no new content for a multiple different amount of months to ensure that we were busy and still active and so forth. Waking Titan in its prime was such a good thing because the community was really tight. Everyone was kind of working together, everyone was being friendly with each other, and loads of friendships and YouTube channels were born out of Waking Titan existing. The other good part of Waking Titan, which some people overlook, and I kind of fall victim to this, is the fact that Waking Titan gave us a load of backstory and lore to No Man's Sky, which at the time was absent or not specifically mentioned in game. For those who really enjoy the No Man's Sky story, for those that wanted to learn more about the whole simulation idea, about who the Sentinels were, and about, Elizabeth and all of that crazy backstory which isn't really needed, it was the ideal thing to get into. And when Waking Titan first began, it was really interesting to follow. Only later did it become extremely confusing and difficult to get into, but we'll get into that very shortly. And of course, Waking Titan provided us a wealth of content to cover on YouTube. This is when Orbit TV really started to pick up, and I remember he was the best bloke to talk to about Waking Titan because he was so goddamn knowledgeable, and he put that into his videos. That was when he really started getting views and was kind of making a name for himself a load more. Waking Titan also kept Discord servers alive. I remember when news would drop, the whole, channels would be like flooded with people coming in trying to discuss, and there'd be several people typing, the moderators would be sweating at the keyboards and stuff like that. It was just a really nice time to be a part of the community. The community was, thriving off this crazy and confusing puzzle which we all had to do our bit to work out, and really as a collective, and a community, it was great for wondering about the future of No Man's Sky and generally just, being friendly with each other and forming new friendships. And finally, Waking Titan was ultimately Hello Games' answer to them not wanting to communicate. At the time, we of course were wanting Hello Games to, you know, give us some info on some updates or let us know when stuff was coming, and at the time they did not want to do that. Waking Titan, as I said, was Hello Games' answer to this. It was not them, you know, outright speaking to us, giving us straight facts and saying this will happen, this will happen. They were technically giving us news, but we sort of earned it and we weren't told outright, so this kept the speculation really ripe. It tickled an itch on both ends of the spectrum. Hello Games got to slightly communicate with us, and we, for once, were getting some communication back. Waking Titan served its purpose very well in the times when Hello Games were not so upfront and were a little bit more secretive about what was going on. However, this is the exact issue with Waking Titan. It was a substitute, and at the end of the day, it was simply a substitute for the lack of communication. After Next, Hello Games have been way more vocal about what's been going on, about what kind of updates they're going to be bringing out. I mean, yeah, not recently, but directly after Next, we saw an immediate change in how they treated the community, how they treated the game, how they just went about advertising stuff, and it was refreshing, to say the least. A lot of us were so goddamn happy that they were finally talking to us up front and weren't hiding behind riddles like they were with Waking Titan. Next proved to us that Hello Games were comfortable talking to us without the need of this big flashy ARG. They could just kind of be themselves, talk like normal developers, and that is why Waking Titan began to become obsolete. Waking Titan also began to get extremely complex towards the end of its life, with the whole alternate reality headset, the dozens of different websites, and generally just the story being extremely difficult to follow for a casual fan of No Man's Sky. Towards the end of its life, the ARG sort of became something that only dedicated people could fully understand. It wasn't something that you could jump into and immediately get what everything was and what was going on, and you could work things out on your own. You had to sit through Orbit TV's 45-minute long video, which was basically an introduction to Waking Titan. It just reminds me of all the lore masters in Lord of the Rings that study all the texts and the books and things like that. That is pretty much what the ARG was towards the end of its life. And for me, when I was trying to make videos on it and keep up to date with the news, I just didn't have a clue what was going on. But of course, I tried my best to understand it, but I won't lie, towards the end of it, I just could not understand it in the slightest. Another huge problem with Waking Titan, and this was one of the biggest criticisms people had for it, was the fact that some people in the community just found it really frustrating. People didn't want riddles, they wanted answers. They found it tedious and slightly insulting to have to work out information which we should receive as a basic right. I remember plenty of people back in the day were really against the ARG for a number of different reasons, and I remember the whole the ARG is delaying the update argument, which I made so many videos about. But even with that aside, people just didn't like the idea and the concept behind Waking Titan. There was a very large portion of the community that just did not bother with it, and a lot of people stayed clear from it and just waited for the update to drop. And to be fair, towards the end of its life, again, I was leaning more towards that, and I quickly became frustrated with how confusing and unnecessary Waking Titan got. And linking to this, there was a general issue with speculation. You know, I remember back in the day when we were looking at all these coordinates when Waking Titan first started up, when we had the Phoenix word and we were trying to work out what it meant. We had these coordinates that people put into Google Maps and found like this Chinese restaurant in London. And then I remember L-Plays ended phoning them up and asking them if they knew anything about the ARG. Like, it just got kind of out of hand. It was quite humorous, I will say that, but the expectations and how far people were going to try and work stuff out was getting kind of ridiculous in the second season of Waking Titan. But that issue with the over speculation was something that kind of plagued the ARG throughout. Especially towards the end, people began thinking really crazy theories to do with words that we never even found out what they meant. meant. Like Phoenix, which we, drooled over for months, we never even got confirmation what that had to do with. We only assumed that it was to do with being reborn, but again, we didn't know, and people went to extreme lengths to try and work out what it meant. So in conclusion, Waking Titan was a product of the old Hello Games. It was a scared Hello Games who wanted to talk but didn't want to be too upfront with us. It was kind of like they wanted to, but at the same time they didn't. Waking Titan filled that weird sort of emotion perfectly. It captured the need for some basic information, but then it also captured the need for Hello Games to let us know that the game was being worked on, that something was in the works, and ultimately there was something to look forward to. The issue lays in the fact that Waking Titan in its current state, if it were to be revived, would be the fact that it is just pointless. There is no need for it to exist anymore because Hello Games are not like that. They have changed, they have a new approach to PR, they have a new approach to how they deal with updates in the community and things like that, so Waking Titan is obsolete. It would just not fit in, and I think a lot of people are now fed up with it, they've forgotten about it, and they have ultimately got way too used to how Hello Games are currently. Imagine if we went back to the ARG being our main source of information. I think so many people would find that jarring, especially since a good portion of the player base are now new players who started from Next. Them going back to an ARG would mean that new players are just lost. They're not used to this, they don't like this, they just want Hello Games to tell us stuff, and for once I can actually agree with them. So guys, that is just about all I have to say for this video. I do hope you enjoyed. As always, please do feel free to put your thoughts in the comment section of the video. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then please do feel free to leave a like on it, and if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.